Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on EOS. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at EOS to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys, and EOS is starting to look rather interesting. As you guys know, let me just start off with the bigger picture, actually. As you guys know, if we pull out here to the daily, EOS has been operating below this descending resistance line. There's actually a few of them, but I'm just talking about this one that's been in place since early May, has been tested numerous times here, one, two, I think it's been tested at least 10 times since early May, and every time has resulted in a very strong rejection. You can see here, you can see, shoot, didn't mean to pull that, guys. Sorry about that. Where was that? Right about there. So every time it was rejected very hard. Here, rejected very, very hard. When it, a couple of times here, rejected very hard. Here, rejected very hard. And now we're starting to come up to a point to where we're testing it again, guys. And either we're going to get a strong rejection, in my opinion. Either we're going to get a strong rejection, or we're going to end up breaking out to the upside. And I do think it's getting to that critical point, guys. All signs are pointing to that. We've got, if I zoom in here, as I've showed you guys before, I do believe this was 5 waves up. Very small 1, 2, then a 3, 4, and a 5. If that is in fact the count, of course, now we'd be looking at some kind of a correction, either in the form of an ABC or an ABCDE. And if we zoom in here, guys, what do we have? If that's our 5, I can pull out here and we can see denoted in orange here, we have what looks like a descending expanding wedge. Some people would say this is Bolkowski's wedge, which is oftentimes a reversal pattern, but doesn't have to be. And what it would be reversing. What would it be reversing? Well, obviously this has been a massive downtrend, as I showed you guys, this entire, coming from all the way since May, since this has been a massive downtrend. And if in fact the case, that then this downtrend, this would be some kind of an ABC correction rather than a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. If that's in fact the case, then this would be 5 waves down again, or we could count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is interesting because I can also count this as an A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so either way I count this, that's 5 waves, and whether or not this ends up being a reversal pattern, whereas this was the correction, and now this is the kind of the reversal to where we're reversing into 5 waves up, or whether or not this was in fact 5 waves up, and now we're in an ABCDE correction, which is just completed. Either way, however you want to count it, I know some guys would argue this, and it's really a moot point. The bottom line is, if this count is correct, and that's a big if this count is correct, we have a perfect A, B, C, D, E, a perfect expanding wedge, which is oftentimes in this kind of a situation bullish. I'm not saying it's going to turn out that way, but probability-wise, the chances are that this is going to be, the chances are that this ends up breaking up more than it breaks down. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to enter into a long-term bull run. I mean, we could break up and then just, topple right back over. And it doesn't even mean we're going to break out. We're just talking about probability. And probability tells us if this is, in fact, a descending expanding wedge, then about 70% of the time it does end up breaking up. What is the target of that breakout? The target of the breakout is typically the start of the A wave, which would be right about here. In this case, the top of the wave 5 here. So typically this would be the target right around 7 or 5.65, somewhere thereabouts. So if this does break up, we'd be looking at the top of this wave 5 as the possible target. So I'm not saying we're there yet, guys. I'm just saying I can make a very, very good case. We're seeing a lot of structure in the market showing you that that is a real possibility. So if this is in fact the count, guys, we're approaching this descending resistance line denoted in yellow that's been in place for so long. That is a very, very strong resistance line, guys. As I've said in the past, this line is no joke. We're obviously approaching that line. So either we're going to get a strong rejection and we're going to break down out of this wedge pattern that we're currently in. We'll have to wait and see. Or we're going to break up out of it. Either way, we're going to break out of this wedge pattern here very soon. But this is going to get tested. And if we can break above this descending resistance line, in my opinion, that's going to be a very, very bullish indication of a short-term of the bulls taking control of the market short term. If we get a strong rejection, guys, that's going to clearly show you that the bears are continuing to control this market. And to the downside, the critical support that I'm watching is this support between 4.76, 4.67. This zone down in here, guys, we wicked through it right here to complete this E wave, if that's in fact what it is, but didn't decisively break, so this is still fairly intact. So if we break below 4.67, I think it's going to be a very quick drop to at least 450, and at that point we'll have to wait and see if that does end up holding that 450. Below that, it's going to be 428 if that does break. either of these, 450 or 428, neither of these are very strong supports. The 428 is much stronger than the 450. So if 428 breaks, I think it's going to be a quick drop to $4. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So if the bullish count is in fact correct, guys, we're looking at a 1-2 pattern right here. So we're looking at a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Something, something like this, guys. I mean, it's not obviously this isn't exactly how it play out, but something like this. So if that is in fact the case, what can I, or how are we going to measure this? What can we look at for? We're looking for a bottom of a wave 2. We know typically wave 2 lands probability tells us 60% of wave 2s land between the 50 and the 618 fib. So that just happens to lie perfectly between this 4.73 and 4.67 support. Is that coincidence? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, guys. But probability says that it's going to land here. Now, right now we've got not a perfect, but a good bounce right off the 382. That absolutely could happen. And if we do end up impulsing up from the 382, that's going to be a very bullish sign, guys. Very, very bullish. But let's wait and see how this plays out. I would like to see price come down here, test this zone again. I think that'd give us a nice, much more impulsive bounce up. If that is in fact what happens, guys, as I said, just looking at Bulkowski's wedge here and what would be the target for this wave 3, well, it just happens to probably line up perfectly there with the top of the wave 5, which was the target I gave you before. But let's wait and see how this plays out. If we do in fact get a correction down here to this area, to this zone, let's just say the top of this zone, which would be right at the 50, that would give me, if I pull a 1618, which we know that wave 3 often does, it's often the longest and the strongest, which it's going to need to be to break through this descending resistance. If that is the case, guys, it's going to land somewhere around 5.55. $5.55, somewhere thereabouts, guys. So this would be a fairly accurate target for our wave 3, and will go nicely with the target, as I told you, of the of a breakout of this wedge. So we do have a lot of structure looking bullish, guys, and let's wait and see how this plays out. Am I going to trade this? If price does come down here, I might stack. I might play a small position bouncing off here with a very, very tight stop loss. I'd probably put my stop, if I had it right here, I'd have my stop around 450, somewhere thereabouts, guys. But I'm not sure I'm going to play this. I'm going to wait and see how price reacts. If we get a strong rejection off this resistance, this would be a good place to short right here. Now, the problem with the shorts is, guys, and one of the things that I think is holding this market up, much like Bitcoin, EOS is also being shorted almost in a straight line like this. And the market makers keep trying to take out these shorts with small little short squeezes, but they're only getting little small bait. They're only retail investors, only a few of them are reacting. A lot of them are holding their short positions. So retail money thinks that this is going to go much, much lower, guys. And I think a lot of them are targeting this $4 to $3.50 demand zone. And if price does get down here, I'm going to buy EOS all day long if it does end up getting that low. But I'm not saying it's going to, guys. Right now, we're seeing a lot of structure to the upside, so let's wait and see how this ends up playing out. But there is, as I said, guys, there is some hope. There is some good. There is some bullish-looking scenarios that could very, very easily come into play. Now, once again, just like a lot of the coins, we're starting to see this 821 and 55-day EMA converge on top of the 50-day EMA. These are all converging on top of each other. That tells you that as they converge tighter and tighter, it starts to tell you that a larger move is more probable. If we come out here to the daily chart is still showing us a little bit a bearish move. We can see the daily is unable to break above this 8-day EMA and hasn't been able to for the last 4 days. Has wicked above but hasn't been able to close above. So that's a sign of weakness. We can see price close above this 8-day EMA, guys. That's going to be a very, very bullish sign of strength. Another thing that I'm continuing to watch, as I showed you guys here many, many times, if we look at this daily RSI, the daily RSI has still been unable to break above this massive descending resistance line, just continuing to just huddle right below here, guys. And this is going to either break above or it's going to get rejected here very, very soon. It can't just sit here like this much longer. So I'm going to be very interested to see. And again, if we break above this descending resistance, guys, that's going to be a very, very bullish sign of strength and a possible momentum shift. Coming over here on the 4-hour, as I continued to show you guys last time, we're starting to see the 4-hour MACD get squeezed tighter and tighter. And we know as it approaches the apex, this is also a signal that we're going to see a larger move up or down very, very soon as it approaches this apex, guys. So it looks to me like we could see this a larger move anytime between now and the end of September, possibly the first or now in the beginning of September, I should say, possibly the first week of September. Somewhere in this area here is where I'd expect that large move to come. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, guys, I certainly would appreciate an upvote or a re-steam or a like. Just mash that upvote button there below. And until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.